My boyfriend got into alpha podcasts and tried to run my life, so I kicked him out fast. I've been thinking about breaking up with my boyfriend because he's not the same person anymore. We've been together almost 4 years now, and he used to be so thoughtful it felt unreal. When I got sick, he'd drive 45 minutes just to drop off soup and medicine. If I mentioned a bakery once, he'd surprise me the next weekend with cinnamon rolls. 2 years ago, he moved into my apartment, the lease already in my name, and we split rent, groceries, and chores. It was easy and fair until about 8 months ago when he got hooked on these alpha podcasts on his commute. At first, it looked harmless. He started working out more and seemed more confident at work. Then, the comments started. He'd look at my outfit and go, "You're going out like that?" He'd scroll my contacts and ask why I had male coworkers' numbers. He'd say I shouldn't go to happy hour because it sends the wrong message. If I pushed back, he'd laugh and say he was just protecting me. Then he stopped pulling his weight at home. One night, the sink was full, and he was on the couch watching videos. I said, "Are you going to do the dishes?" He didn't even pause. He goes, "I've been thinking. Household work is a woman's domain." I stared at him like I misheard. I reminded him we had an agreement. He said agreements can evolve, and he'd been learning how traditional relationships work when everyone plays their natural role. I asked, "So what's your natural role?" He said, "Providing and protecting." I said, "You know I make more than you, right?" For the last 6 months, I'd been paying about 60% of the rent because he claimed he was saving for something important. He went quiet, then snapped, "That's exactly the problem. You emasculate me." He told me if I were more supportive and feminine, he'd be further along in his career. He said successful men have partners who build them up, not compete with them. I felt like I was talking to a stranger wearing my boyfriend's face. After that, it got worse fast. He started texting me nonstop, asking where I was. Then he asked for my phone passcode for transparency. He tried to turn on location sharing and said, "If you have nothing to hide, you won't care." If I came home even 10 minutes later than usual, he'd be waiting by the door, eyes narrowed, asking who I talked to and why I didn't answer right away. If I didn't reply fast enough, he'd send question mark, and then get angry. He called my best friend a bad influence because she's 32 and single, like that was proof she couldn't be trusted. Then 2 weeks ago, I overheard him on the phone with his friend Mike. Mike was seeing someone else behind his girlfriend's back, got caught, and she wanted to leave. My boyfriend laughed and said, "She'll get over it. Women complain, but they stay." Then he added, like it was science, "Honestly, it's a man's right. Powerful men always had multiple women. It's biology." I stood in the hallway and felt something in me shut off. That night, I confronted him. I told him I heard everything, and I was disgusted. I asked what happened to the man who used to bring me soup. He shrugged and said he finally woke up. He said he'd wasted years being a nice guy and getting nowhere, and the podcast showed him how the world really works. Then he smirked and said I should be grateful he was still with me because he has options now. I laughed, quick and sharp. I said, "Options? You live in my apartment. You drive the car I co-signed for. You haven't paid full rent in 6 months. What options?" His whole face changed. He stepped toward me and punched the wall right next to my head. The drywall cracked. He screamed that I was the reason he wasn't successful, that I held him back, and that a real woman would submit and let him leave. My heart was pounding, but I stayed still. I looked him in the eyes and said, "You have 48 hours to get out, or I'm calling police and a locksmith." He shouted insults, grabbed a bag, and stormed out into the night. After that, his mom started calling me, begging me to take him back, saying he was sleeping in his car and struggling. Last night, he texted me a long paragraph about how he realized he went too far, how he'd delete the podcasts, and how he missed who we used to be. I read it twice. Then I scrolled through our old messages from 3 years ago, back when he'd send goofy good morning texts, and memorize my coffee order after one day. I typed one sentence. "I hope you find whatever you're looking for, but you won't find it here." Then I blocked his number.